If you have your laptop with you, it would be a good idea, you could do this right now actually, if you go down to the bottom of if you look at the bottom of your screen to the search box, if you type in the word SAFE, S-A-F-E, you should see the Safe Exam Browser app appear, and you can see a picture of it on the left-hand side on the visual. If you click that and click open, if it opens and asks for a login, then you are good to go on the day of the test. If it's not running and you can't see it, you will need to update your computer or your laptop. So that's just, we want to make sure your tech is ready. So next week we'll be doing like a tech check for all of in your period 1 classes. Your teachers will need to know if your laptop is tech ready for the test. So if it isn't, the teacher has a form and they will inform the teacher librarian, and we will help solve this issue for you. So that's upcoming. So in the meantime, please make sure your laptops are always charged and updated. You will know that it needs updating because in the bottom corner you'll see a little red dot and you can run the updates. And that's very important to make sure your laptop is working for the day of the test. It's coming up in a few weeks. Okay, so let's get to the next tip session. This is writing a series of paragraphs to express an opinion. This is important because it is the longest piece of writing that is required, and the only long piece of writing required, and it's worth 25% of your total mark on the literacy test. So about a quarter of the whole test is based on this task. So it is the longest task, and it is an essay. So for this section, you will be given a prompt or a question, and usually you'll have to choose a side, either yes or no, or whether you agree or disagree. You will need to write an essay explaining your side or your opinion. The good thing is about this is that you can use your own personal opinion. You should write 5 paragraphs, so an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And it's important to write as close to the 500-word limit as possible. That does seem a little daunting, but there are ways to make sure that you can get as close to that 500-word limit. And we're going to go through some of these little techniques and tips today. So in terms of the prompts or the question, the prompt is usually, and in all the years that I've been doing this, the prompt is usually familiar or relevant to teenagers. So you should be able to understand what the question is asking you. You have to choose one side of the argument. Don't flip-flop between, yes, I agree, but oh no, on the other hand, you can do it this way. No, you choose a side and you stick to it. So that's really important. So don't agree with both sides or write about something else. Some of the topics that have been discussed in the past, these are actual OSSLT opinion piece questions, were, should students have a part-time job? And then you would choose yes or no. Should students take phys ed every year? Should students care about climate change? Another question was, would you like to live in a place that's always warm? So those are some examples of actual questions that have been on the OSSLT in the past. And as I mentioned before in previous presentations, this section or the test itself is not marked like other tests that you would do in school. There are different coding systems. And you can see this here, it's very hard to see. So there is, if you look on your LMS, under Tips 3, so go into the Grade 10 Guidance LMS page, and if you click on Tips Tuesday and Tips 3, if you click on the section that says Essay Scoring, you will see a version of what is on your screen right now, on the TV screen, so you can follow along with me. I just wanted to show you how it is marked. So it's marked according to content and topic development, and it's according to like level 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So those are the scores that you would get. And on the other side is the convention. So that's your spelling and grammar. And that's according to like code 10, 20, 30, or 40. So ideally, we'd want you to get a code 40 or 50. or 60, might as well aim high, but 40, 50, or 60 are the codes that we want you to get. So a code 40 means that the essay is related to the prompt or the question. There's a clear and consistent opinion that's developed with sufficient supporting details, but only some are specific. The content organization is mechanical, and any lapses do not distract from the overall communication. So that's a level 40. If you want a code 50, that's even better. Let's try to aim high. The essay is related to the prompt or the question. It is clear and consistent. It's developed with sufficient specific supporting details with logical organization. And if you want a code 60, that's like the top mark you can get on the opinion piece. It's got sufficient supporting details, thoughtfully chosen, coherent, thoughtful progression of ideas. And with the grammar section, we're trying to aim for a code 30 or 40, which means that there can be some spelling errors and a few grammatical errors, but they should not distract from the reader understanding what you are trying to say. So it needs to be clear and so that we know what you're trying to say. Okay, so planning. So you're given a question and you're not sure where to go with that. Sometimes you have ideas right away and you know what you're going to say. But if you're stuck, if you're given a question on the OSSLT and you're not quite sure whether to agree or to disagree, a good idea would be and you'll be given scrap paper that you can use, or there's also a notes tool in the actual test itself. So use that and ask for paper and a scrap paper and a pen, and you can brainstorm your ideas either electronically or on paper. And I would do a T-chart like this. So you either do yes or no. Write down as many ideas as you can under yes, as many ideas as you can under no, and then decide, choose the side where you have the best ideas. So for example, if the question was, should all students have a part-time job? Under yes, you can write ideas such as, well, yes, you can make extra money. You can learn new skills like a cash register. You can learn to deal with people. It's good practice for real life. You can learn time management. And under no, you can write some ideas such as, well, it's hard to focus on school, which should be a priority. Students are stressed enough as it is. It might be difficult to balance with extracurricular activities, etc. Pick the side that you have the best ideas, in which you have the best ideas, and write according to that opinion, that side of the issue. Okay, don't forget to give specific examples. You will need to have at least 3 reasons to support your opinion. Each reason must have specific examples with details to demonstrate that reason. Give evidence from your knowledge of the world. And it would be 500 words, all focused on proving your opinion, along with the introduction and conclusion that kind of reiterates what you're trying to say. So for example, if you're stuck and you can't think of any reasons, think of things in your own life, things that have actually happened to you. Think of things that have happened to your friends or your family. Think of things that have happened at school. Think of events that happen at school. Think of things that are going on in the news, things that are going on in the community. Think of hypothetical examples too that prove your point. Anything that will support your opinion. Okay, so don't forget, this is worth 1/4 of the final OSSLT mark. It's scored out of a code 60 for content, a code 40 for conventions. We want you to get as high as you can under content. 40 is okay, but try to aim high, 50 or 60 ideally, and a 30 to 40 for conventions. All right, so now we're going to review some sample essays. These are actual opinion pieces that students have written in the past, and the goal is to try to have you see the difference between a lower code, like a lower scoring essay, and a higher scoring essay, so you will know what to aim towards. So in order to do this, we'd like you to go to the LMS and select the Tips Tuesday widget, and then you would open the Tip 3 folder, and under the Tip 3 folder, you'll see a section that says Homework, Code 40 and 50, and that will, then you can follow along with me. If not, you can just listen, but it's nice to follow along so you can see it for yourself. So again, click on the LMS, tip 3, and click on where it says code homework code 40 and 50 under the tip 3 folder. Okay, so these are actual student essays from the 2023 OSSLT, and the prompt or the question is, does homework improve learning? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the code 40. So this person who wrote this essay did okay, code 40, not too bad. And I want you to think of why this student got a code 40, and we're going to go through that. So I'm going to read that with you right now. Give me a second here. All right, so code 40. So this is the actual student response. Let's go back here. Okay, so remember, the question is, does homework improve learning? So this is what the student wrote. Yes, I believe that homework is beneficial to your learning because it is easier to remember things when you write it down, comma. Secondly, the questions that you do may be on a test that you have, comma. And lastly, if you do work several times, then you will start to understand it. Firstly, I believe it is easier to remember things when you write it down because when you write, you begin to think about what you're writing. So as you're writing, everything that you think about gets memorized in your brain. Secondly, I believe that some of the questions that you do in your homework may be on the test you get later on. So if you complete the homework, most likely you will get good marks on a test that you were not prepared for. Lastly, I believe doing homework will improve your learning if you tend to do similar questions several times because the more you do your homework is the more you'll understand. For example, if you play the same song several times in your headphones, then it's very likely that it will get stuck in your head. Doing homework will improve one's ability to learn as long as you spend time trying to understand each step of what you're learning. Okay, so this essay that I just read got a code 40, which is not bad. So it got a code 40 because it is related to the prompt, so it did answer the question. It had a clear and concise opinion with sufficient supporting details. The person gave examples. Only some of the examples were specific. It was a little bit general, but there were some specific examples mentioned. And the content is a little mechanical. The lapses do not distract from the overall communication. Overall, I could understand what the student was trying to say, and the person had an introduction with an opinion, specific supporting details, although there's a little bit of vague supporting details here, and there is an actual conclusion. So this person did okay. They got a code 40. Now let's look at the difference between a code 40 and a code 50. So code 50 is a little higher. We want you to aim for at least a code 50. Let's aim high. We want you to get the best mark you can. So now we're going to take a look at the code 50, and I want you to pay attention to the difference. So I'm going to read this one to you. Again, same question, does homework help learning? So in school, and you can follow along again on the LMS, the sample that I'm reading is on the LMS under tips 3. In school, students are forced to do homework out of class on their own time. Some people believe that doing so does not improve your learning whatsoever, but in my opinion, I believe it does for these 3 reasons. Doing homework like textbook work is easier for some students to learn than listening to a teacher talk all day. It helps students that struggle in subjects, and it can get students more responsible and prepared for college. First of all, doing textbook work is easier for some students to learning than listening to a teacher talk all day. Some students find it hard to listen to a teacher talking about a lesson because they cannot focus very well with the multiple distractions that are in the classroom. Distractions may cause students to doze off and not pay attention to the teacher, which will affect their grade poorly. But if students go home and does the homework that is assigned by their teacher, they can go into a quiet room and learn what they missed in class to catch up and improve their mark. Therefore, I believe homework does improve learning. Second of all, homework can help students that are struggling. If a student is paying attention but still cannot understand the subject to the fullest, homework can help. These students just have to go home and do the extra work assigned to help them understand more. If the students keep this up, their mark is guaranteed to go up and improve because the homework is like extra help. Therefore, I believe that homework does improve learning. Last of all, doing your homework in high school and getting it all done every night is a good habit because it gets you more responsible and ready for college. In college, you have to be able to take on big responsibilities for your future career, and things like homework will help students get ready and prepared for responsibilities. Therefore, I believe that homework does improve learning. Overall, I think that homework does improve learning for these 3 reasons. It is easier for some people to learn, it can help students that are struggling, and get you prepared for big responsibilities that occur later in life. So let's take a look at this. So this one scored higher. Do you notice the difference between the Code 40 essay and the Code 50 essay? These opinion pieces were actual student pieces. These are real student pieces that OSSLT releases to teachers and to students and to families so that you can see how things are marked. So this one, notice how there was a very clear introduction, 3 paragraphs, and a clear conclusion restating the 3 topics that they were going to discuss. Notice the transition words also, like first of all, secondly, last of all, overall, in conclusion. Things like that are good words to use to help elevate your writing and make it more clear. It's related to the prompt, it was clear, very specific supporting details, and they gave actual examples that happen in school. So use your own life to help you come up with examples. It sounds like that's what this person did. And there's an actual conclusion that reiterates the opinion and reiterates the 3 reasons that the student chose. So this student did quite well. If you want to see a Code 60 exemplar, I'm not going to read another one, but if you'd like to see what a Code 60 looks like, and that's the highest mark possible, we did provide that for you in the Tips Tuesday folder. So it's under Code 60 sample, and you can take a look at that. So now it's your turn to practice. In the Tips 3 folder, there is an essay prompt, and we would like you to start practicing to write an opinion piece. Okay, so we've provided for you in the LMS, there is a planning sheet. Okay, so this helps you to organize your opinion piece. Notice how it starts, you rewrite the prompt or the question and you state your opinion. Then you go through your first reason with examples, second reason with examples, third reason with examples, and your conclusion. Please note, you will not have access to this planning sheet on the actual OSSLT day. You are going to be expected just to do this on your own. But this is a good start to help you practice structuring it, and it helps you to organize your idea. So hopefully it will be more automatic for you on the day of the test. So the question is, should students be required to wear a school uniform? And what we would like you to do is take some time to plan out your opinion piece. Hopefully at this point we can have, we'd like the teachers to give the students at least 15 minutes to go through the planning and fill out this sheet, or you can even practice typing the actual opinion piece using a Word document. Again, the question is, should students be required to wear a school uniform? And remember to choose either yes or no, pick your best side, and write down your ideas coherently and with specific examples. If you have any questions, you can, again, come and see all the resources you have at school. You can talk to myself, Miss DiGiovanni, in Student Success. You can see Miss Julia or Miss Danielowitz in Guidance. You can see Miss Mira Ranzello or Miss Napoleoni in the ELL room, Miss Iwascu in resource. There are so many of us that are here to help you. And remember, the OSSLT prep page on LMS is an excellent resource. There are more writing tips, there are more examples that you can use to practice and more topics. If you ever want someone to, if you want to practice and you want someone to take a look at what you've written, pop on down to Student Success. I can give you some feedback on what you've written to let you know whether or not you are on the right track. We are happy to help you. This is a challenging section of the test, but it is totally doable if you keep in mind some of these tips. So thank you very much. Teachers, please allow students at least 15 minutes to practice this activity, and we appreciate your support. Please note that next week, due to Remembrance Day, Tips Tuesday will be on Wednesday. So we will see you then. Thank you so much for your attention.